It is a happy Monday to all those baseball fan bases whose teams are in the playoffs. I guess maybe your favorite NFL team won on Sunday, or college football over the weekend, or high school. We have fans from all over. Regardless, happy Monday to all of you. Welcome to Red Sox Now, presented by FanArch. We are climbing towards 2,000 subscribers. First year doing this. And we are also going to be, we're going to get to episode 162 soon. So for that, we'll have to do something special because that's a baseball season. And something for 2000. We'll get more towards the themes. You know, we've done the hats and the shirts and socks. We'll have fun. And this is going to be fun starting on Tuesday. Red Sox will work out today. All the teams will work out on Monday. The schedule is good. I like how they did it. Everyone playing at 3 on Sunday, and then that's so makes teams play. That's why Toronto had to go with Gosman. So good stuff. I'm Mike Antonellis. Most of you know that. You'll see my handle, my YouTube handle for comments during the day. I will comment on this episode. During the weekend, I left a note. Nobody responded. It's fine. We don't do the shows on the weekend. But follow me on social. A lot of you have found me, even for fantasy football advice, at Radio Mike. At the Radio Mike, which is fine. On X, you can ask me anything. That's fine. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all social media would be great. I work at Framingham State. I work in the athletic office in addition to being one of the voices of the Woo Sox. And part of my job is, I have to go to the football games. I love it. The Framingham State football, Division III, had a 13-point lead with 2.5, 3 minutes left. They blew that lead, and they won in overtime, 46-40, which was cool. So if you were high school, college, you had a favorite football game that wasn't pro and you went to, let me know. I'd like to know where people, because it's cool. Like when I ask these questions, and then sometimes I'll get answers from, yeah, it was in Oregon at this high school. Like that's cool. I like to get to know all you, and we have a great community as well. All right, let's get to it. Friday was incredible. Absolutely incredible. Game was incredible. It was a masterclass by Alex Cora. I think I told some of you, I might have even said it on the show Friday, I thought he was going to play it as an elimination game because to me there was we get 3 chances. He didn't want to, for many reasons, but I think the most important thing, you want to get it wrapped up on Friday because you want to give those horses in the back end, Chapman and Whitlock, all this time off. Especially thinking you're probably going to face the Yankees. And it changes everything. I mean, if you had to use those guys yesterday, I'm not saying they couldn't pitch on Tuesday night, but it changes everything. And I listen, it's not ideal having Kyle Harrison pitch in that game, but it was your 15th different starting pitcher this year. The guy that you got in the Devers trade. I was hoping he got the win to make that some serendipity and good Netflix. Too soon. Netflix missed out this year. But that would have been pretty cool. He still pitched in the game that you clinched in. But that was fantastic managing, and it's another tip of the cap and is very symbolic on what your team was built on a lot this year. Your bullpen bailed you out a lot. To go 6 innings, I don't care who, playoff team, but to pitch 6 innings and go scoreless when your starter doesn't go 4 is hard at any level. I've been watching baseball for a long time. And usually when that starter gets knocked out, you're going to give up a run. But to go nothing the rest of the way, and credit Alex Cora, bringing in Slayton early, and they played that like an elimination game. And then you could rest a lot of guys the rest of the way. What a weird weekend, too. Then Detroit clinches on Saturday. I do want to... No, we'll get to that in the comments because someone made a comment about Rafaela, and I want to get... I'll wait to the comments about that because it's good stuff. And then Detroit wins Saturday, and I was very happy for a couple of reasons. Well, for one big reason. Really good friend of mine. I worked in Portland for 15 years, and there's a Tigers affiliate there, Erie, which I actually worked in Erie in '04. And their broadcaster, Greg Gagne, Greg's been at it a long time. And we were texting a lot Friday. And he gets to do some big league games. And he texted me to say, hey, I'm doing the game Saturday. So Greg, who had just came off a Double-A Eastern League championship with Erie, they lost, but he called that on Thursday. And then he flies to Boston, and he got to call the clinching game with Bobby Scales on Saturday. And a good friend. So I was happy for him. Happy for the Tigers. They're not a team that's, I mean, they ended up with a really weird season. But I was happy for Greg. And it was his birthday over the weekend, so good for him getting a chance to do that. And then on Sunday, Jose De Leon, who was in Puerto Rico the night before. Can you believe this? They call him and ask him if he can pitch. I mean, you can't make stuff up like this. That's how much they needed him. They needed a starter because they just didn't want to use anyone, and they shouldn't have. And the guy takes a red eye to Philly, sleeps in the airport, gets the 8:30 flight from Philly to Boston, goes out there and pitches a hell of a game. A hell of a game. 6 2/3, 8 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. He was 0-9 with the Red Sox. I got to see him all year with an ERA of almost 7. He's had a long road. He's had injuries. He was a top prospect at one point. So a lot of you are, I'm sure, were questioning this move. And why? Well, I think they wanted a veteran. You put Tyler Uberstein up there. I don't know. That could have gotten ugly. There was more trust. But here's another thing. I was with him all year. Unbelievable guy. Unbelievable human being. Unbelievable clubhouse leader. 34 years old. The day he got to Worcester, he told our manager, I will do anything you want. They used him, a lot of his statistics are some of it's unfair. They wore him out because that's just, when you're a journeyman in AAA, that's how it works. There were days where like, hey, you need to start today. You need to throw 80 pitches. And they would just leave him in there. Whether that's fair or unfair, it's just how it is. And he was up for the challenge. I remember a start. He pitched on 3 days rests. He had thrown 20 pitches as a reliever. 3 days later, he had to throw 80 in a game at home. And they used him a lot at the end. And he wasn't bad at the end. But maybe not a starting pitcher. But he kept yo-yoing back and forth. And he was a terrific clubhouse guy. He's someone Alex Cora knows. And what I liked about this was it was the whole body of work. This guy, someone that Cora knew, they trusted could go 100 pitches. He said, I'll go 120. Was a terrific clubhouse guy. Chad Tracy, the manager of Worcester, just spoke the world to him. And it does show that sometimes in sports, good people get rewarded. Now, and I don't mean that in a bad way because it is based on talent. But the guy was a model citizen and a fantastic veteran leader. And maybe if he wasn't, maybe they wouldn't have gone to him. But they rewarded him, and that was a great, great little sub bar over the weekend. And being with him all year and knowing what kind of guy he is and the things he did for the other players. And he had fun. He dressed up in costumes to keep things loose. But he spoke to, he visited so many kids at local schools in Worcester and went to hospital. I mean, it was just a great thing to see him get rewarded and get his only win of the year in the big leagues. So that was great over the weekend. And the weekend was great. The Red Sox finished the season by winning 3 straight series after they went 2 and lost 4 of 6 at Fenway. They were able to rebound. And Masataka Yoshida looked great. Something I talked about with a lot of you. Missing all that time, no spring training, little rehab, and you can see that now he's starting to get up to speed. It's something that Trevor Story talked about too recently, missing all that time. It took him a while. And the Red Sox just continuing to use guys over and like use, this guy's out, you're in. This guy's out, you're in. And they're going to need Yoshida. Now, the thing is that I don't know if he's going to play both games. He might not. He might. He's not bad against lefties, but we're going to see two lefties for the Yankees. That's the one thing. Now, I've gotten a lot of this. Who do you want to play? I don't know. I don't know if this is even worth overthinking it. It's the playoffs. Oh, Cleveland would have been a better matchup. Maybe. The thing I do think about the Yankees, though, is they can match it with starting pitching. They have, to me, two aces. Fried and Rodon are ones, to me. They absolutely are. Rodon's a one on most teams. Fried won 19 games. The other guy wins 18. So they can match you. But I mean, if you want to get to the promised land, you got to beat good teams. So the whole, let's not play this team in the first. I don't know. That's that's a funky ballpark. New York has struggled with defense. It's a great team, though. Cleveland. I've heard people say, "Well, I don't want to play them because they're on this magical." I'm not really into that stuff, as a lot of you have known. I'm not going to sit there and say they shouldn't play Cleveland because of their magical pixie dust September. It's still execution and matchups, and they've got good arms. Are they on paper weaker? Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not. I've never been a void. I've always been. Once you get in the playoffs, if you want to get to where you want to go, you're going to have to beat the cream of the crop. Like next round, if they get through this round, they'd have to play Toronto and Seattle. That's no picnic. Seattle's no picnic. I do think it's fun, though. This is the fan in me. I think it's great they play the Yankees. I know all three are in New York, but you got Crochet's first postseason start in New York. I like that you have the division teams playing. For MLB, it's great. Cleveland, Detroit just played 6 games. I think Detroit's going to win that series. I really do. I think there's a calmness after you clinch. This September is a tough month. They still have Skubal in game 1. I know it's on the road, but I still like their chances. Nothing's going to matter before. I told you this when the Red Sox played the Yankees that last time, that everything before, it doesn't carry over. But I do like that they play New York. And, do we ultimately know what's the better matchup? No. I guess you could say Cleveland would be the better because on paper, they're not as good as the Yankees. Maybe, maybe not. It's not worth getting into. One of the best rivalries in sports. First round, Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. Really cool. Unbelievable collapse by the Mets. I watched the end of their game. Oh, my God. Did Gary Cohen give it to them? They were not shy on the broadcast. And Pete Alonso after the game pretty much saying, he said, I'm opting out. I can't believe he said that on a post game. I don't know. I mean, they asked him, but he said a lot of good things about New York, but it obviously he doesn't want to stay there. But that was, epic. Now listen, I know the Mets, this is what hurts. This is why other teams won't spend. But a lot of the top salaries in MLB had good years. Like I've always said It's not a guarantee. The Mets spending that kind of money and having that kind of year, where do they go from there? I don't know. But a lot of teams that did spend a lot, Dodgers, Phillies, Yankees, Cubs, Padres, they're all in. Toronto. Houston spent a lot. San Fran, Atlanta. Red Sox are right outside the top 10. I'm not as fascinated by spending as a lot of you because I just want the best baseball team. And I thought the Red Sox took more of a financial commitment this year, spending smart. That's what I want. Dodgers, you take the Dodgers and Mets out because they just, it's just a different beast. The Mets owner is a fan, and I think that's great, but I think a lot of what he does is just, I'm just going to outspend all my colleagues. But I don't want an organization, I don't want the Red Sox and John Henry to be like, well, we're not extending Crochet, or we're not going to go, this year. Oh, Bregman, that's too, this year they made a commitment. Yeah, we will spend for Bregman. Yes, we will. I mean, they spent a lot of money. They spent about $500 million, but they spent it smart. That's what I want. And with the game being younger, you're going to have guys that are going to be in your lineup that are really good that won't cost you money. And I'm okay with that as long as they're good players. I don't want you to do that just because it saves money. And Roman Anthony, you gave him a lot of money. So spend it smartly. I don't think the Mets did. I don't think Juan Soto's worth that kind of money. I just don't. But I'm happy because Terry Francona is in. And they played the Dodgers in the first round. And then the Padres and Cubs. The series are fantastic. They really are. And it sets up a AL East second round. It sets up a potential NL Central second round. But fantastic. And baseball did a great job changing things to make themselves relevant this final month. This month has been a throwaway month. I think some of it chalked it up. Well, the NFL, no. And they got better ratings this month. They made things come down to the final day, the final series. And you have to adjust. It is about business. I know a lot of you don't like when I say this, but it has to be. You have to do things that are better for your business. It's still a TV show. These networks, fans, just think of yourself. You're spending a lot of money. And I didn't like baseball in September. 40-man rosters were awful. Going to games and seeing 11 different pitchers. I went to a game in September. I think Oakland used 11 pitchers. It was boring. Games were longer. It was a bad product. It really was. I don't think many of you realize, a few years ago, games going over 3 hours, 7 minutes in between a ball put in play. As soon as September was coming, it was just right to football. You made more teams involved. You changed the schedule. You sped the game up. You made September relevant. And the changes they've made have been great. Now they're going to add the challenge system. So I commend Major League Baseball. I know people don't like Rob Manfred. That's fine. But it's okay to say these moves he made was better for the game. And the proof is in ticket sales, TV ratings, and the excitement. Cincinnati getting in on the last day because the Mets collapsed is a great story. Not for Mets fans, but it's compelling TV. That's what, the NFL, in not just the fact that they changed their rules for quarterbacks because they wanted them to play, and that worked. But they always have compelling TV where they have Allen against Mahomes, the Brady years. They've been able to do that. And I get the game is once a week, but it's still a better product. And I like what Major League Baseball did. I mean, I was in tune all weekend to all the, I was curious yesterday. That was great yesterday with Cleveland and Texas battling back and forth. By the way, the Rangers finished as the top ERA in baseball. I would have never have thought that. And I never would have thought that. The Red Sox were one of the top offenses in baseball, near the top of MLB in average and runs scored. They were fifth, tied for fourth in ERA with Cleveland. So it shows you, it was Texas, Milwaukee, San Diego, Cleveland, Boston, top ERAs. It shows you what a lot of other train wrecks of teams there were in baseball this year. Like Cleveland hit 226 as a club, but they pitched, like I've said, you can be like this with pitching and like this with offense and get in. But if that was reversed, if they hit 260 or 250 and couldn't pitch, they probably don't make the playoffs. So it's pretty remarkable. I wanted to look at the September before we get to your comments. We will get to your comments. Red Sox had the best batting average in the AL, 1 point behind Philly in September. Cleveland still hit near the bottom, but pitching, Cleveland had a 2.61 ERA. They were 20-7 in September. Their pitching is what carried them. Even more than the Red Sox had almost a run, 1.2 ERA higher than Cleveland, and they were 13-11. But that shows you everything. They pitched at a ridiculous rate. A 2.61 ERA for the month. They gave up 75 runs in 27 games. Maybe that's not a team you want to face. By the way, the Rockies went 4-21. What a month for them. All right, your comments were fantastic. At Carl Uberson, I think, 3777. I'm calling Rafaela Little Poppy here on out. I want to tell you something about Rafaela. It looked bad for months, right? But how does it look in big situations? I watched all of the celebrations after the game. He looked into that camera and said, I want to be the guy in the big moment. He is a confident kid, and there is something in his approach, and Cora said it. He is different when it's on the line. He sure is. That walk-off homer against Tampa Bay. But in between, like when it looked bad for months. But now you got Rafaela in a big stage, so he could be the guy. Why can't he have that approach all the time? I don't know. But I do like a guy that has that trait. And he said, hey, listen, I know I'm going to come through. I'm paraphrasing, but very confident. I like that in him. I like that. At SmokeDog19821, it would be awesome if Kyle from Waltham came home next season. Let's get this done tonight. Go Sox. Yeah, Schwarber. I don't know. Possibly 32. He's really a DH. I'd rather have Alonso, to be honest. I think the Red Sox could use another veteran. I like Lowe, but I don't like to do this, jump ahead, but I will for this. It'd be a lot to get him, sign him and Bregman, but boy, a right-handed hitter, that would be special. Unless Schwarber wanted to come back to Boston, and he played first. But I don't know. There's something about Pete Alonso I like. Both of them. I like those veteran guys, like with Bregman. Alonso's, he's 30. Okay. 30 years old. And I'm trying to see he's got Boris. Okay. That makes sense. That's why he opted out. That's a Boris thing. Boris isn't going to let him stay in that deal. So as much I kind of figured that. So Bregman and Alonso, two Boris guys. Is it a package deal? That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? At Wadge, you guys have the weirdest handles. At Wade Getchell 624. I love them though. Detroit's pitching situation is a mess lately. That's why they have been losing so much. They had to DFA Morton. They pretty much have two proven starters, and Mize has been a struggle since the break. Yeah, he threw well the other day though. But listen, I'm not going to feel bad for them. Red Sox had way more injuries and struggles pitching wise than Detroit. Same with Cleveland. I mean, their closer got thrown off the team for betting, and they sold at the deadline. So I don't feel bad for Detroit. Yankees had injuries too. They lost Heel for most of the year. They have no Garrett Cole. Toronto's a mess too. Everyone is. It's crazy. Survival of the fittest. I mean, look at Toronto. No Bichette, Bassett. Right, they have a bunch of his. Barrios got hurt. I mean, it's crazy. All the teams, all the injuries. But 3 teams from the American League East make it. I don't think it was a down year in the American League at all. I know I've gotten that from people, but I mean, you have 2 teams that win 94 games. It's a balanced schedule, remember. But you had a team with 87 wins that missed it in the NL. To me, maybe more top heavy, but I don't think that. I think the game it was more competitive because of the schedule. You still had a lot of teams with over 90 wins. Seattle, New York, Toronto, Philly, Milwaukee, Dodgers, Cubs, Sandy. I mean, 8 teams over 90. 90 plus wins. So I thought it was a great season in Major League Baseball. That's going to wrap it up for our Monday edition of Red Sox Now. We'll preview Tuesday on the show. We'll preview the pitching matchups and all the playoff. We'll get through all of it. And maybe talk about my MVP for the Red Sox in Major League Baseball and some unsung heroes. Follow me at the Radio Mike. Subscribe to the channel, and the algorithm likes when you comment, and we'll read the comments and get to them all year. So have yourself a great Monday, and as always, go Sox.